Hello and welcome back finally to some more Imperator Rome developer diary goodness. And my goodness, has it been a long time since we last had a dev diary. The winter break is now over and we can get back into the swing of things of having weekly dev diary videos, which is quite nice. I've definitely missed these. So, over the break we did have some teasers from Overhaul, but we'll get into those in a minute. First off, let us jump in to the dev diary, and there it is. So first of all, no date in the title, which is an improvement over the abominations that Overhaul usually trolls me with. So that's good. Right, let's get into it then. Today, Chop Mist will be taking you through the mission trees for the final nation we're covering in the Heirs of Alexander content pack, Macedon. But before we deal with the bloodthirsty Cassander, it's time to explain some of the mechanics I've been teasing on Twitter over the holidays. And before we go in to the rest of the dev diary, we will go and check out Overhaul's Twitter just to see the things that he is alluding to. So yeah, let's have a jump over here. So the first one we've got here is a teaser about changes to civilization value. This is the first thing we got that would show us that we were going to have buildings change the civilization value, which was very interesting, very nice, and we thought, oh, okay, that could be a very good sign of a nice building rework, which I was very, very excited about, and I'm still happy that this is definitely going to be the case. Definitely like it. So, moving on to the next one that we've got is this one here, just showing that when you have lost an eagle in battle, say you're playing as Rome, it will now appear on the top of your screen and you'll be able to, catch it. Not sure if this is a teaser. I'm pretty sure that's where it appeared beforehand, but this is in the new UI, so I guess a teaser that it's gonna be there again. Fairly sure that's where it was before, so not much of a difference in that one. Then we have this one. This was the interesting one, of course. The Foundry gives the following benefits: civilization value plus 5%, which is huge; starting experience plus 50%, fairly huge, but I'll go into why I'm not massively taken by that. And then population output plus 10%, which is amazingly massive. We also learned that we're going to be limited to one of these in any given territory, which definitely piqued my interest, and certainly as a change to the way that the building system works, it's been something that I've wanted for a very, very long time. So learning that there are going to be limited buildings was definitely something I was wanting, I was really hoping for. So very happy to see that is a thing and is the case. And then finally we had another teaser, which won't actually come up in the dev diary, but it's worth showing it anyway, and that is the difference to Republican succession. It's now more visible, uses statesmanship instead of prominence, which prominence is a stat that is really underutilized, and well, it does make sense, I think, to have statesmanship be impactful. I think maybe it should have been both. Prominence maybe should be either removed or expanded upon. At the moment, prominence seems to be like a mix between popularity and statesmanship, maybe. Like, it's prominence is how popular you are among like the ruling class, and popularity seems like how popular you are among the lower class. Maybe something like that, I'm not sure, but at the moment I don't really see much of a use for prominence, especially when it's being removed from another one of the effects that it has. But those are all of the teasers that you can get, and you'll probably be able to get more if you follow Overhaul at @Overhaul_ over on Twitter. And while you're at it, follow me at Lambert2191. Yeah. Alright, but we've got a dev diary to read, so let us get into it. So, moving on straight into civilization value. There's some significant changes coming to civ value. As an abstraction, it has never quite resonated with me. It's used at various points in the game to represent different things and can be largely ignored beyond a certain point. For the purposes of this rework, local civilization value is being more explicitly defined as the state of the infrastructure and sanitation of any given location. We should make sure to remember this. It's interesting that, they're using civilization value to mean this. Except, like you could have really high civ value without too much infrastructure, although infrastructure being buildings does increase civilization value, so I guess maybe that's not the case. But sanitation, I feel like maybe this could be something on its own instead of civ value meaning both of these. Maybe these could be split. Obviously this is the buildings in a city, and this is how clean and healthy they are. I just feel like these could be split, because if you have more infrastructure, it doesn't mean you're more sanitary. I mean, just think of one of the biggest cities of all time, London. Not a very clean place, especially when it was the biggest city in the world. Sure as shit wasn't the cleanest. So yeah, it's interesting that they're linking those, but let's move on. We'll keep that in the back of our mind, but we'll move on. The monthly growth of civilization is not being changed explicitly, and this represents the education and tradition of learning in a location. So civilization growth is education and tradition of learning, but the total civ value is infrastructure and sanitation. It's a weird blend of different concepts. But okay, a territory with low growth will take longer to reach the cap as before, naturally. Whereas previously, civilization had a significant impact on the happiness of pop types, this is being reduced. This in part due to cultural rework which focused on cultural pop types and citizenship. After all, why should a citizen or noble resent living in low infrastructure province if that is the norm for the area? Because maybe you've changed civilization value to mean it's not just infrastructure. Why should a citizen or noble resent living in a low civilization value city? Because it's got low sanitation. This is why I feel like this should be split. These guys, yeah, they wouldn't resent living in a low infrastructure province if that's the norm, but they'll resent living in somewhere that's dirty, as would anyone. And it's just interesting that like civilization value is this and this, but then when it's moving on to why happiness is less affected, you're changing to just talking about this. It feels like you noticed that sanitation doesn't fit in here, so it's like being conveniently left out. I don't know. Instead, the cultural impact of your pops will be far more important to the stability of your nation. Gotcha. Civilization will now have a significant impact on the output capabilities of a province, and this should be regarded as one of the most important local values. As such, we're giving it the pride of place in the new territory UI. He says pride of place. It actually took me a good minute to find it, if I'm being honest. I didn't realize that there was a bar here. It's I was looking for a number. Maybe it wasn't a minute, but I looked through all of the numbers, like every single value here, before I noticed the bar. It's fine now that I know it's there. Sure, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I do like the art though. This feels new. Maybe it could be a little bit more. Like I want more of it. Maybe as this bar increases, this could like cover more of the countryside. I don't know. Because then you could have a new terrain type, urban. Nah, that'd be terrible. That'd be a stupid idea. Alright, but then we've got the effects of civilization. They're similarly important. Let's go pop capacity. Alright, so this is for what? If the civilization value of Rome is maxed at 42, this being 42, I would assume that this is 40. So this is the effects of civilization value at 40. Could be 40.05. Okay. Let's compare these to the current version of the game. So I'll use my handy snipping tool to just grab this, move it to one side, and we'll open Imperator Rome, where we have a Rome with 40 civ value. So we'll bring up the snipping tool, we'll move that over here. See if we can, where does that open out to? Yeah, it's good enough. So, comparing these now, pop capacity seems to be relatively the same. That's fine. Supply limit is being halved from civ value. Barbarian growth is the same. migration attraction is being completely removed. No, it isn't. It's being halved. It's just pop output is being put there instead. Okay, so we've now got 40% pop output for 40 civilization value. So it's like identical. If you can get a city to 100% civ value, you're going to get 100% extra pop output. That's incredible. That is so powerful. That is really not what I want at all, actually. That is really kind of encouraging the awful megacity style play that I despise. So that's unfortunate. Migration attraction is being reduced, which is good. Migration attraction is how you build your ahistorical abominations that are the megacity. So that's good that migration attraction is being reduced. Happiness is being massively reduced across the board by what's that, about 66%, 65%, something like that. So, okay, fine. That is all things being reduced by an amount. Tribesman happiness seems to be relatively identical. And then it's growing by 0.05 a month to get to 42, 0.07 a month to get to 49. That's fine. That's not much important there. But okay. It seems capital territory is identical. At peace has been increased. Alright. Also, the Tomb of Romulus has been removed. Which I guess the Tomb of Romulus is now going to be a wonder, perhaps? Also, I've actually never noticed that the Tomb of Romulus is in this game at all. Since, where is this? It's not on the temporary modifiers. I don't see any permanent modifiers. I mean, there's Temple of Jupiter. Is that the Tomb of Romulus? Actually, maybe it is. Maybe that is, how does one check it again? How does one check it? It's a holy site, right? I haven't played as Rome since this. Tomb of Romulus. Yeah, no, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Alright. But it is being removed. It is being removed. So, yeah, that's something to take into account. Let me get back to the dev diary. Some interesting changes there. I feel like pop output is going to be insane. It's going to be insane. It's going to make cities so much more valuable. Like if at this point it looks like if it's not a food producing province, it's gonna want to be a city, and then just import as much food as you can to get as much, to feed your people. I don't know how much I'm in favor of that. I really am not. That pop output is just, it encourages cities, and if you can get if, for example, actually we'll get to that, right? We'll get to my point when we reach a certain part in this dev diary, but we'll move on for right now, and then we'll get back to this point again, back of the mind. So, as you can see, the civ value in the territory still has some effect on happiness, but far more impact on the overall output. Population output is now also tracked in the territory UI. So we have population output of how much is it in the UI here? Which one is it? What are we hovering over here? So it's at 10, 15, 16, 21, 30, it's like at 34 and a half. What is he? Oh, there it is, 34. Okay, so that's the pop output right there. So you're hovering over this to get this up, which is fine. I don't mind this not being on the UI itself. Like I'm fine with this not being on here, because you have to hover over it to get it there. That's fine. Again, civilization value, I feel like because this is a bar, I feel like the actual civilization value of your city should be on this UI, because there is no way to notice at a glance that this bar here is 40.05%. I mean, I guess you can see that supply limit equals pop out, the civilization value, sure, but I feel like you want the number as well. Like, just do, colon 40.05, something like that. This one I'm less unhappy with because, you know, you have to hover over the actual number to get the UI up. That's totally fine. A territory will break even at 30 civ value, assuming no other modifiers are present. The output of territories where the dominant culture is not integrated will be further penalties on that. Okay, as will settlements. So settlements are negative 15. Dominant culture is not integrated, negative 30. So that's a pretty big nerf. Negative 45%. So then negative 75% base if it's a settlement of a non-integrated culture, and then you need to get the civ value up. So if you've got a trash ruler, you're not getting any of this, then your max is going to be like 25% pop output from a non-integrated settlement at 100 civ value, which you're probably not going to be able to get to anyway. That's actually a pretty big nerf to not having integrated cultures, or not assimilating fast enough, or what have you. Nota bene, the current standing max civilization value has not been adjusted, so that's why this bar is too high. Fair enough. Pops will be relatively happy living in rural provinces. Where does it say that, though? Where is their happiness? But will produce less compared to the urban brethren. No, they won't. No, they won't. They won't. They won't. They won't. They won't. They absolutely will not. They shouldn't, because that's not how it works. The per capita, you know, that's just. There's so much inefficiency that comes with a historical big city. You are, of course, making all the people in a similar location, so certain things would be better, like administrating would be a little easier than administrating the similar amount of people across a wide area. Getting goods and services to all the people, yeah, sure, that's easier, but on an efficiency level, like somebody in the countryside making cloth would, I don't know, would it be easier? Probably not, because, you know, getting the materials to make the cloth would be easier to get in a city. I guess, but at a certain point, like, it becomes unfeasible and unmanageable. So it's what I really complained about in my megacities video. That cities were not just objectively and as a consequence of being a city, more efficient. That's not how it worked. So I'm a little bit iffy about this. I mean, some situations it works, some situations it doesn't. It's after a certain point, it becomes unfeasible and inefficient, and the game doesn't track that point. So it really encourages a mega city style play, and I don't think any of the changes that I've read so far discourage that, which is incredibly disappointing so far. Alright, so how do you generate civilization cap? Along with these changes, an important change in the way we generate civilization cap is being introduced. As we said before, it is the buildings that you can construct that will increase your civilization level, which I'm fine with. That actually seems like a really decent situation. That's a really good change, in my opinion. Requiring buildings to increase your civ level, fine. But remember, we put that in the back of our mind when we were looking at the changes that we had here. The civ value doesn't have much an effect on happiness, but some of these buildings do, right? Some of these buildings absolutely have effects on happiness. And, you know, it's just gonna like compound upon each other. Anyway, let's get in. Let's read a bit more before we go into that kind of nitty-gritty stuff. So, most buildings will now contribute directly to civilization capacity in a territory, providing a huge amount more local variance in development levels throughout the map. Later in the game, you can expect to see flourishing capitals approaching 70 to 90 civilization. That is a huge amount of pop output, with values higher than this being reserved for those truly keen on eking the most out of their territory, so the megacity builders. The abominations. Related to the above, the building system is undergoing a minor refactor. As an addendum, I'd like to point out that while I'm aware many of you want a deep cultural building system, that's not something we have the scope to address in this update. I'm not sure a cultural building system would be great. What I want is a building system that isn't like spam one building. So I want a building system that isn't spam the shit out of an aqueduct and then just hope for the best, because I hate that so much. All right, so city buildings have now been split into two categories: limited and unlimited. So not only one of the one, right? So the top row buildings are theoretically unlimited and will function similar to before, albeit with some rebalance, and now adding to civ caps. So what we've got here is libraries giving research points, civ level, and conversion speed. Okay. All right. Okay. The marketplace giving civ level assimilation speed and base trade routes. Training camp giving manpower and civ level. Tax office giving taxes and civ level. Okay, well I can see where they're going. Like if you want an unlimited amount of buildings, what would I spam here? Because it is still like as soon as you add unlimited levels of a certain building, you're gonna find somebody who will spam them. Because in all Paradox games, the way you really do well is to really focus on a single modifier and just make it get that modifier as high as possible. So, do I want a massive amount of research? Spam the library. Do I want a massive amount of trade, which is money? Spam trade routes. Yeah, I mean, I would personally like to see this as a ratio kind of system, right? So the way I would personally change this is, say you have, where can I find? There we go. We'll just grab a little screen cap of this little bit here. So we can say that this is the pop density of my city. We got 5 nobles, there's 5 times as many citizens, there's 4 times as many freemen, and who gives a shit about these plebs? I would say that for this, which we're looking at, what's that? 50 people. It is literally exactly 50 people, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So for 50 people, if you've got 5 nobles, they're going to want 1 library. 1 library per 5 nobles, and that is how many they want to be happy. Any more than that, and it's going to give you diminishing returns. Any less than that, and you're going to get unhappiness. So for every 5 citizen pops, they're going to want, or maybe every 10, I don't know, whatever. I'm just bringing these numbers up off the top of my head. I'm just trying to explain like a ratio system. For every amount of citizen pops, they're going to want a marketplace. Because that's where they want to do business and trade and stuff, and maybe the freemen want a marketplace as well. I don't know. But if you have more than the amount that they need, you get diminishing returns. If you have less, they get unhappy. Same for freemen and the trading camp. Maybe they would want the marketplace as well. The tax office could be all of them. This is the kind of thing that I want. More than they need, inefficient. Less than they need, unhappy. That is the basis of what I want from a building system, and you would not get that. But okay, right. I also don't see any happiness modifiers in here for anyone, which is interesting. Alright, let's go. Alright, most of the repeatable buildings we get 2 civ cap. Sure. All of them? I guess these are just 4 of the available buildings. So other than these, we've also got the granary, which can be repeated. That's these last 4. The granary, we've got the aqueduct, the port. That's the port building, right? That's the port building, and then we've got the castle walls, or the walls. It's interesting that there's 2 of these. The bottom row of buildings is limited to a finite and unmodifiable during gameplay quantity. This functionality will of course be available to modders. Many of these buildings will also require unlocking in the invention tree. Alright, so what have we got here? Earthworks would give the following benefit: negative 10% pop capacity and negative 3 combat width. No one is ever going to build this. Not a single human being is ever going to build a building that lowers your pop capacity. It's not going to happen. People are not going to do it. Especially with it being in a city? No, they're never ever going to build this. The Earthworks is a wasted bit of UI. No one's going to build this. It's terrible. It's completely terrible. Considering as well, look at these. Right, we've got the debug or dev mode on right now. Scripted wait's 1. I hope that means they're more likely to do it, because if this is 11 times more likely to be built than a Foundry, that is insanity that you would make the AI do something so monumentally stupid. I would hope that they would want to build 11 of these Foundries, like in all of the different cities, before they would build a single Earthworks, because the Earthworks is not worth whatever money you're trying to pay, have this cost. It's not worth it. It's just straight up not worth it. Ever. So we'll take that aside. We'll ignore that this exists because it's trash. Let's move on to the Foundry, giving civ level, starting experience, and pop output. I don't think starting experience is worth it because it affects just the territory. So sure, if you want to spam click an army so that it's all being built in a single territory, sure, that's fine. Starting experience also decays really quickly, so yeah. The pop output though, that's pretty strong. I mean, pop output is a strong modifier, so yeah, boosting this as much as you can, sure, it's kind of huge. Alright, now we got the Great Temple, giving state religion happiness, civ level, and pop conversion speed. This is really strong, really strong. Being limited to 1 in any given territory is interesting. It's like all of these, not looking at you, you suck. All of these seem like every single city wants 1 of each. That's what you're going to want. As soon as you get the ability to build these, because of course they are unlocked with inventions, you're gonna want to build them everywhere because they're just objectively amazing. I mean, I don't know the cost of these buildings, so we can't really make a judgment there. I mean, maybe they're 1,000 each, and maybe they're not worth it then, but at this point, it's looking like solid worth, and you'd want 1 of each. Alright, but then the Grand Theatre, integrated culture, happiness, pop assimilation speed, blah, blah, blah. Right. If they were to affect an entire province, I would see it being more worthwhile. Maybe lower the effect and make it affect the entire province would be pretty cool. Maybe only you could build 1 of them per province, and it has to be in the state capital or the provincial capital. That would be really nice. But yeah, you're gonna want to build these, apart from you, because you suck. And then we've got pop ratio buildings. Hey, we got pop ratio buildings. Wait, no, that's not what they want at all. That's not what we're talking about. Different things. Never mind. It limits the viability of monopop cities. So these buildings are limited to 3 in a territory. So academies, giving happiness and desired ratio. Court log, happiness, desired ratio. There we go. They're all identical, really, apart from the who they're affecting. Fine. Fine. If it's limited to 3 each, that's kind of cool. Alright. Finite buildings will be capped visually to ensure you're aware you've reached this cap, so we get a little tick on them. Very nice. Good. Alright. All the numbers you're seeing are subject to balance, of course, naturally. These changes aim to reduce some of the micromanagement and choice paralysis associated with having up to 16 unique buildings, an arbitrary number of cities, as well as adding depth and progression to a city building and tying buildings to the new technology system. In addition, the gardening feeling is something that I know many of our players enjoy. Playing tall, getting the most out of your pops should be enhanced by many of these changes. No! The people who build mega cities, who I'm fairly sure you're kind of sub-tweeting or sub-quoting or whatever, pseudo-quoting, should be shot in the toes until they stop, is where I stand on this issue. Fine. Settlements will not be entirely untouched by these changes either. One of the big choices you'll have to make during your campaign if you head down to the civic invention tree is likely to interest those with a penchant for construction. So, I guess is a choice, really? Take this or this? Indeed, it is indeed that. Cannot have this in rural planning, cannot have this and urban planning. So, urban planning lets you build things for cheaper, pop cap goes up, global city building slots goes up, pop promotion speed goes up, food modifier goes up, or we have an extra settlement building slot in every settlement. That is an interesting change. That is a very interesting, like, choice, because as I was reading this, I was like, yeah, this is really good, this is really good. But an extra building slot in every single settlement, which is limited to one building slot, is really powerful. You have a mine, you don't want to build a barracks. Not anymore, now you can build a mine and a barracks. You have some food, oh, well, I only want to build a farming settlement. But now I can build a farming settlement and a barracks. Yeah, I'm really harping on this barracks, aren't I? Barracks are really powerful. Or a fort and some food, or a fort and some mine. Like, role planning is not weak. It's a really enticing option here. I mean, this is good, but I love this. It's interesting. While likely subject to balance, this exclusive choice will enable you to more definitively choose a tall or wide focus. Note that along with this change, all settlement buildings will still be unique. You're unable to support a settlement with 2 mines. However, you'll be able to construct both a mine and a fort, or a barracks and a trap settlement. No one's going to build this unless you change it. Right. There's something I missed. That I need to go back to, because this is where Lambert rages. This is where Lambert is. I mean, there's certain things in here that I felt are iffy, but it's not been like, this is a terrible idea. Like, this is a absolute trash, and I really just dislike this very intensely. However, the notable exception of aqueducts which will function as before. Aqueducts functioning as before is a terrible idea. Absolute terrible idea. The aqueducts are the problematic building. They are the worst building in this fucking game. I hate them. They are absolutely terrible because they are the reason that the megacity is possible and exists, and they need to be fucking nerfed horribly. Flat population capacity is not something you want to give these, because the higher your population capacity and the further you are from it, the faster your population grows. So the fucking best thing to do, the most meta strategy to do, is just spam the shit out of these fucking buildings until your desert province is wetter than the fucking Venice. Why? Why is this unchanged? Out of all of the buildings in this game, this was the one building that needed the most work. And now it's unchanged? What are you thinking? I would rather this building was removed from the game. It honestly boggles the mind that this is unchanged. It's the building that needed the most change. A suggestion, if you will. A suggestion. Limit it to an amount of civilization value. Right? Remember we said to put a pin in this. To keep this in the back of your mind. Sanitation. What is important for sanitation? Water. How do you bring water to a city? Aqueduct, right? Sanitation and aqueducts, very, very similarly linked, right? More so than sanitation and the happiness, which you conveniently left out, right? So, say we have a city. Say it's called Rome. Rome starts with 40 civilization value. Conveniently, I'm fairly certain that 40 civilization value is what you need to build an aqueduct. Let me just see if I can find that. If I was playing a different country, I'd be able to check. So we'll just do that real quick. Yeah, so civilization value is what you need to build an aqueduct. I'm fairly sure you need 40 civilization value to build an aqueduct. Alright? So maybe at 40 civilization value, you are able to build one aqueduct. Perhaps if you increase your civilization value to an amount, let's call it 55, you can build another one. Let's have a look at Gergovia. It's got 22 civ value, so we can't build one of these because you need... Oh, it's 30. Okay, so at 30 civilization value, you can build one aqueduct. Maybe for every 10 or 15 civilization value after that 30, you can build another aqueduct. Yeah? And you limit the amount of aqueducts to your civilization value. So you get this first, then you get this. And you never spam the shit out of these. You have to wait. This would give a very, very hard cap on the amount of aqueducts, which makes sense. Rome had like 8 or 13 or something. You know, it wasn't fucking 75. Let's put that out to bed immediately. They didn't have 75 fucking aqueducts. That didn't happen. Having a limit on, you know, a reasonable number, like, you know, 10 to 15 aqueducts in a city over the course of like the entire game is enough. We don't need more. We don't want more. That is just fine, right? So you limit the amount of aqueducts you get by civilization value. You fixed the problem. You fixed megacities. Done. Aqueducts no longer get built. They don't increase your pop capacity, which doesn't increase your migration attraction, which doesn't mean you've got these cities with a fucking insane number of pops that are completely ahistorical and ruin the game for everyone who has a fucking brain. Done. The fact that you're leaving these completely unchanged just boggles the mind. It really does. I don't get it. I don't get why, of all of the buildings, this is the one you leave alone. I don't get it. Unless the only reason I could see to leave this one alone is because you've got a big rework in mind for this building specifically. That's the only reason I can think of. Because it does not work right now. It does not work as intended or any remote like historical value. Nothing. It is completely antithetical to the spirit of the game. It needs changing. Because right now it looks like megacities are more powerful than ever. It really does. Because the reason I say megacities are more powerful than ever, because megacities generally have quite a lot of civilization value, because civilization value increases your migration attraction. So people really want to spam that shit and get the civilization value as high as possible. It also increases your population capacity. It also increases your supply limit. Alright? People really want those in a megacity. Now civilization value also increases your pop output by the same amount, right? 40 civilization value is 40 extra pop output. So people really want civilization value. They're going to be able to get 100 in their megacity, making all of their pops somehow fucking robots that are 100% more efficient. Sorry, no, it needs changing. It fucking needs it. This, fuck megacities, really. So much. Anyway, let's move away from this, because Lambert Rage gives me high blood pressure and I want to move on. Let's move on to the Macedonian mission tree. As many of you would know, Macedon is my favorite nation in the game. It's the one that I have played the most. It's the one that every update I go back to and have a run as Macedon, so I can, you know, understand the changes, because I'm so familiar with the country. So I'm a pretty decently, you know, happy Macedon player. Let's see if I'm going to continue to be a very decently happy Macedon player. Hello, it's Joe from Content again, back to talk to you through the next set of missions coming in the Heirs of Alexander expansion. This time we'll be looking at Macedon. The story of this kingdom is a complex one, the crown flitting between the dynasty of Alexander's successor Cassander and a myriad of petty claimants until the Antigonid dynasty eventually secured the throne, remaining there until the Roman conquest. The fates decided that the Antipatrid dynasty would be short-lived, but things were fairly stable in Macedon after the Antigonids took power, with wars against barbarians, Greek leagues and Illyrian tribes, but no ambitious campaigns on the scale of the Diadochi Wars until the Roman conquest. This need not be the case under your leadership, and there will be many opportunities to make moves. Ultimately, Macedon received 3 mission trees. That's fine, with the latter 2 being available to any Macedonian country that supplants the Antipatrids in Pella. Oh boy. As I said, I really like playing as Macedon. So what I'm reading here, while nicely worded, is saying to me, if you play as Macedon, you get 1 mission. And that's it. And that's really disappointing, because I really liked the Antigonid mission tree, and I really liked the Thracian mission tree. I mean, the Antigonid mission tree was really good, even though you lost 1 mission if you wanted to go down the, going to the west. If you wanted to supplant the Antipatrids in Macedon, and you lost most of your country, you would get this mission available to you. If you didn't want to lose most of your country, you wouldn't. But now it seems that the Antigonids, if you lose all of your country, you're getting 2 extra missions, not 1. So the Antigonids now have 4 if you want to go down the route that is historical, and the Macedonians, they get 1. Yay. Wait, no. The Antigonids get fucking 5 mission trees. Holy shit. Because they get their own 3, and then they are now getting the latter 2. That's insane. I mean, clearly the Antigonids are now the country to play as if you like mission trees, because they've got the most, objectively, of everyone. Little disappointed the Macedon proper is only getting 1. Really, a little bit iffy. But okay. Right, and Patrice's legacy. In 304 BC, Cassander had ruled Macedon as a regent for 13 years, and unlike the other Diadochi, never claimed the title of Basilius for himself. He has seen victory in the wars against Polyperchon and Olympias, securing Thessaly and successfully contesting the Antigonids in Greece, although his murder of the Argead heirs and harsh treatment of the Greek cities have given him a reputation for cruelty, embellished by the other successes to their benefit. Indeed, if you are aware of Dante's Inferno, which is, I think, part of a trilogy, but Dante's Inferno talks about it's what influenced the Christian concept of hell. And one in the lowest ring of hell, the absolute pits where Satan himself is being fucked over. You've got 3 people being tortured more than any of the other souls in all of history. One of them is Cassander for his murder of these 2. So if you believe that Dante was given these visions by a higher power and it was absolutely accurate, then you would say that Cassander was one of the worst people in all of history up to that point. The other 2 people there, by the way, were Brutus, the one who stabbed Caesar, and was Cassander, Brutus? I don't actually remember the 3rd one. I think it was another one of the conspirators. I don't remember. Whatever. It's kind of irrelevant at this point. It was just, I wanted to make a point that Cassander, not very liked by Dante. Kind of hated him. Yeah, so, alright, moving on. Cassander's immediate objectives are to prevail in the Greek wars against Antigonus, Chalkis being an important target, and to ensure they do not reconquer Corinth, the symbolic centre of Macedonian authority in the region. Establishment of the League of Corinth is an objective Macedon shares with the Antigonids, creating a strong and loyal Greek feudatory if they can push the other successors from the peninsula. That is a huge, huge feudatory. And funnily enough, the League of Corinth is a league of city-states, all kind of working towards one goal. Right? They're a league of different cities, independent, specifically, cities. And as feudatories, they don't take a relationship slot anyway. As Macedon, the most efficient or the most powerful you can be is not by creating a single vassal here or by conquering it yourself, but by conquering or by feudatorying every single individual state, making individually each one of them your vassals. Which honestly I feel like is kind of more towards what a league would be. I also have my own ideas on what could be done with like the leagues. And I feel like I've said it in a video before, but just to go over real briefly, I think they should have a change to defensive leagues where you can have, you've got your defensive league and it is named something. Like in this case, it would be named the League of Corinth. And all of these little city-states would obviously band together in their defensive league, and it would create a tag. It wouldn't have any land, but it would just be a floating tag that Macedon or any other powerful Greek state could interact with this floating league tag. And you could become the patron of said league, and basically different Diadochi would fight for control of patronage of this league. They would, if you're the patron of that league, the defensive league, who are still completely independent, can fight their own wars, would then give you some amount of goods, troops or money or what have you, and you would, make sure to defend them if they're attacked by outside powers, but not by themselves. So, say this system here was in place for all of the League of Corinth, Athens was still very capable of attacking Megara, for example. But if somebody outside, say Crete, who was not in the League of Corinth, say they attacked Athens, you would defend them. It's like a pseudo kind of Holy Roman Empire kind of system, which I do really strongly think is a good system that I would definitely prefer to having a big old feudatory, because it is kind of boring and kind of would prefer to conquer it individually, or conquer it as little individual states, or just have the whole thing my own territory. Having one big feudatory is alright. It's like having a permanent vassal, but I think the benefits of owning this directly would be kind of outweighing it. But anyway, let's move on. That's my ideas for a league system, and I really feel strongly that it's a good idea. To help achieve these ends, Macedon has choices to make on the diminishing gold mines of Pangaeum, which funded Alexander's initial invasion of Asia, as well as undermining the Athenian democracy to strike at Antigonid's hold over Greece, and establishing Antipatria in Thessaly as an alternative to the Antigonid's historical city of Demetrius, which is, I think it's right there. There's like a little city called Thessaly, and in the Antigonid tree, if you manage to get it, you can rename it to Demetrius. If you get it as Macedon, you can rename it to Antipatria, which is cool. Changing of city names is something that's very interesting and cool, and I like it, and I don't think should just be given wholesale to the player, because then we're going to get fucking stupid city names like lol 33333 and like racial slurs and stuff, because players are fucking stupid. I hate that in multiplayer. Like, I had a multiplayer where it was in EU4, but they renamed every single province to, like, dash. Just like, the minus sign or the underscore or whatever. So every single province was named the exact fucking same thing. Or every single province was named, like, a number. This is province number 33, and it made going to war with them an absolute pain in the ass, and I hated renaming provinces ever since, and I will never change that opinion. Moving on. The long-standing rivalry with the Taulentians and Epirates will also be a pressing concern, their conquest putting an end to the western threats and distractions from the Diadochi Wars. Macedon may also uplift or annex the Paeonian tribes to the north, creating stronger subjects or finally completing Philip II's campaigns in the region, and continue the Macedonian tradition of recruiting the famed Agrianian javelinmen to permanently bolster their military. Ultimately, the Antipatrids will turn their de facto kinship into a reality, formalizing the Antipatrid Argaea dynasty as the new royal line of Macedon. And we've got Hellenic Mastery. But we're not Macedon. Oh, God. Bad. Bad Joe. Bad chop missed. Bad. As mentioned above, the following trees are available to any Macedonian country which has supplanted Antipatrid Macedon, including the Antigonids. As such, their objectives can overlap with the first Macedonian tree to some degree. The first is called Hellenic Mastery and focuses on becoming the wider hegemon and cultural leader of the Greek world, something which Antigonus II and his descendants spent their time on the throne striving for. Alright, cool. Macedon will aim to have their capital rival the sophistication of the old Greek cities, supplanting them as the population and cultural centres of the region. Philosophers may be attracted to the court based on the patronage Antigonus gave to Zeno of Citium, among many others, periodically providing skilled characters. Becoming the cultural leader of the Greek world will also depend on religious power. Developing the important sanctuary of Dion under Mount Olympus will provide access to a new deity, Zeus Olympius, as well as a unique treasure. Control can also be tightened over the famous oracles of Greece, providing periodic events with messages from the gods and pleasing your Hellenic subjects. Good, cool, good stuff. Securing the main Greek cities directly will allow you to expand your influence, increasing assimilation speed and tax in the region, while controlling Messene will allow the construction of a fortress at Mount Ithome, a fourth fetter securing control of the Peloponnese, which was suggested to Philip V. Fortress at Mount Ithome. I don't know where that one is. But Messene. I want to say it's like here. Messene. We can check this. Messene. Nope, that's right there. Yeah, no, my bad. I guess this is the Mount Ithome. I don't see anything called Ithome, but you know, whatever. Yeah, no, that, yeah, I got it wrong. It's fine. Alright, cool. Oh yeah, control of the Peloponnese. Why would I think it was... Yeah, no, whatever. Once the major Greek port cities around the Aegean are secured and Macedon has created a metropolis to rival the cities of the east, the kingdom and dynasty will be secure. We've got Adriatic dominance. Lastly, the third mission focuses on the expansion westward into Illyria, something which was attempted unsuccessfully by Philip V, whose ambitions provoked the ire of Rome and ultimately led to their invasion of Greece and end of the Macedonian kingdom. Why is this unavailable to Macedon? Did I read this wrong? Holy shit, I did read this wrong. Macedon gets 3 mission trees. They get 3 mission trees. You can take all 3. If you take over them as the Antigonids, you can use the later 2. Oh my god, I'm such a fucking moron. I apologize profusely. Macedon gets 3 mission trees. Okay, no, we got that out of the way. Macedon gets 3 mission trees. It's fine. I'm very much fine with this now. It's still it's an okay mission tree. All right, third mission focuses on an expansion into Illyria. His ambitions provoked the ire of Rome. Well, it wasn't Rome encouraged to take on Macedon because Macedon supported the Carthaginians in the Punic Wars? I feel like that's something, or it was also the Greek city-states wanting Rome to help. I feel like it's a bit of both. I think it is a bit of both. But alright, let's have a look. Alright, there's nothing too stand-outy here. I'm not sure. Illyrian clients want to be a hegemon. Alright. Macedon will vie to control the Hellenic colonies of the Western Sea by diplomacy or war, developing a chosen city to become its hub on the Adriatic and constructing a road over the mountains between it and Pella. I like that. It will create a road for you. That's really cool. That is really cool. So the example they gave is Epidamnos, which is right here. And as far as, you know, choosing a city would go, I'd go with Apollonia, but, you know, Epidamnos is still pretty good, and it will create a road over the mountains here for you, which I think is really nice. I mean, I generally build roads here anyway, so that's cool. Looking on this, though, these are some interesting UI elements. The arrows, not sure I've seen those before, and also I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is at all. It looks like... like gates of a city walls or something. I mean, I do see a fortress here. Is that literally the new fort building? Or is that a different fort building? Because we already have a fort icon. Is this earthworks, perhaps? No, I don't know. Ultimately, this mission will see Macedon establish a foothold in Italia and dominate the entire Adriatic Sea, with choices to make on the pirates that roam its waters and the fate of its natives. That's all from Chopmist. Alright, let's refresh so we can hopefully see if there are any extra dev comments. So, this guy is wrong, so irrelevant on that one. Capping number of aqueducts be a sensible move. Yeah, no shit. Let's say 6. Sure. I haven't covered the building cost and time in this diary, but there will be changes coming to those too. On the subject of megacities, I'm not keen on them being optimal play. Yeah, that's an understatement, for me at least. But I am less keen on arbitrary maximum capacity. It's not really fucking arbitrary though, is it? It's while it may not render them impossible, well, too bad. They need to be rendered impossible, otherwise people will do it, as it will be the most optimal way to play. It ruins multiplayer. It just ruins multiplayer. The new building civilization system is another step towards reducing how easy or sensible it is to produce them. I disagree. I honestly disagree. I think it is more sensible to create them, because you've now given them a way to get 100% extra pop output. All of the changes you've made, say limiting the amount of certain buildings you can get to 3 each, it's fine, it's whatever. People are still gonna build a megacity with fucking 70 aqueducts and like 5 or 10 or whatever trading camps, which are not unlimited, and they're gonna be fucking laughing. They will build 3 of the building that increases the amount of freemen you get, but I just don't see any of your changes making it less sensible to produce them. The only sensible reason to not produce them is they're ahistorical and you're a tit for wanting them, basically. I feel like I'm missing something here. All the empty space next to the pop is used for something. Yeah, holding this information. I have a question about the fate of Imperator. Are Cassandra and Philippus doomed to succumb to scripted diseases? It's unchanged. It's 2 of the sons, and there are other Imperatrids who can inherit. The Antipatrid brothers end up like killing each other. Will the Antigonids have access to any of these events if they choose to go the Macedon way? All content in Latitude Trees is available for the Antigonids and other Macedonian nations if Macedon no longer exists and they own Pella. Interesting. Alright, my final thoughts. This has been a fucking hour-long video. Final thoughts. The mission tree is okay. It's not on the level of the Antigonid or the Thracian one. It's probably a bit better than the Egyptian one. Certainly better than the Seleucid one. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. I like that Antigonus can, you know, use the last 2 mission trees. Basically just increase the amount of... This dev diary is basically, for Macedon, has increased the amount of content for the Antigonids, which is interesting. As for the building system, aqueducts are going to remain the scourge of my time with this game until they're fixed. Right now they are not fixed. Everything else I'm relatively okay with. It's fine. It's okay. It is an improvement. It's just certain things that are a smudge iffy. But other than that, I'm kind of okay with it. This population output being such a huge number is, I feel, a little bit insane. I think they should have the total amount of civilization value on this UI screen. But that's basically where I stand. It's been an hour-long video. My throat's hurting. I'm going to go and end the video now. So if you have any thoughts on this dev diary, please do leave them in the comment section below. Let me know if you share my thoughts on the Aqueduct. Let me know if you share my thoughts on the way that I would treat Greek leagues, because I'm very interested in that, because I do feel like that is a good system and I don't see any downsides to it. Maybe you can. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Of course, if you want to support the channel, likes and comments are very good for the algorithm. They help me out quite a bit. If you want to support me further, I've got a Patreon page that I have as well. If you want to support me there, that's cool. stream on Twitch. Follow me there. All the links in the description. It's all good. And I will see you for the next video. Bye-bye for now. See you later.